Okay, welcome to Screencast 2 of this bizarre new world. In this screencast, I'm going to just have a look at 3 tools in the basic tool palette. It might not seem much, but I'd rather you got a handle on some of the basic concepts using these 3 tools, and then we move on beyond that. So anyway, the 3 tools I want you to look at is the rectangle, the circle, and the selection tool. So the rectangle, first of all, one of the things that Vectorworks does, and lots of these tools follows the same idea, is that there are options, choices underneath the rectangle. So it's not just a rectangle, it's how we draw the rectangle is important as well. So when we click the rectangle, we should see these 4 icons appear in the top left. And the first one is corner to corner mode. Second one, center to corner, midpoint to corner, and then 3-point rotated mode. Vectorworks, like most of its tools, if you hover over the tool, it will tell you quite a lot of information about it. And the icons are pretty good as well. You can see that that one's fairly obvious what it's doing. So what I want you to do is to select a rectangle, choose corner to corner mode, and all I've done here is I've clicked once, and then I've moved. I'm not dragging, I've just clicked, taken my finger off the mouse, and then just moved the cursor around, click again to pin the other corner of the rectangle, and it fills it in. Choose the next mode, you'll see that it draws it in a slightly different way. Choose the next mode, try again, slightly different way. And the 3-point one is kind of really made for drawing things on angles like this. It's really important to draw things, to think about these types, these modes, these options when you're drawing. I'm sure it doesn't take a genius to see that if I'm going to use an extra tool here, I'll explain it later, but if I drew a table on stage and then I had to go and rotate that table round, then it's going to be a 2-click operation, whereas using the 3 corner mode, I could have drawn 1, 2, 3, and there's my table drawn with 1 tool rather than 2. So have a little play with those rectangles there and just get a feel of what they're doing. The other tool I want you to have a look at is circle tool, and only the first 2 options, radius and diameter. To be honest, I have never used any of the other 3. You can play with them if you want, but I've only ever used radius and diameter. So radius, quite obviously, click and define the edge of the circle. Diameter, click 2 edges, and that's again, it's really important to think about what you're wanting to achieve at the end, so you're choosing the correct tool in the first place. To give you an example, if I had a table on stage, I'm probably going to know the center of it and draw it from the center out. If it's up against an edge, then the diameter tool might be better to draw the circle. It's, something like that. I'm making up examples at the moment, but you can kind of get the idea that using the correct tool in the first place is better. The last tool I want you to have a look at is the selection tool. And selection tool is our go-to tool. It's you will be back and forward to this tool a lot. Shortcut for it is X if you want to remember. So if I'm not doing anything, if I'm in the circle tool here, meaning that the circle tool is still selected, then I press X, I just go straight back to the selection tool. Or you can just go and click it here. It tells you the little X in the helpful box there. Selection tool allows you to click and move objects. So by clicking on them, you select the object and you can move it about. If scaling mode is on, so again, the selection tool, like other tools, has options underneath it. I only want to look at these 2 just now: disabled interactive scaling mode and interactive scaling mode. Disabled, which is again my go-to, I would normally have my tool sitting on this option here, means that when I select an object I can move it, but I can't resize it. I've taken my time to draw this table to exactly the right size. I don't want to resize it when I move it, I just want to move it. With the scaling mode on, you see these blue handles, and it means that I can manipulate the object, which can be useful, but if I was going to move it and I wasn't being quite as attentive as I should be, I might grab one of these blue handles and then I've just suddenly made the table a different size. So non-interactive, I say, is probably the best thing to keep it in, the best option to keep it in by default, I would say. So that's all I want to do in this one. Draw a couple of circles, draw a couple of rectangles or squares, choose the selection tool, move things about, rearrange things, get into the habit of getting to the so it's quite second nature moving things around. See, I just did one wrong there. By holding down Shift, you can select multiple objects, click to deselect. The selection tool there has a Marquee Mode as well. So the first one is rectangular, meaning that if I can draw a rectangle around objects, I can select, I can do a free thing there. A bit of an arse of that, but there we go. And there's another one. There's a kind of a polygonal thing as well if I want to select things. To be fair, to be honest, I normally just use the selection tool, sorry, the Shift key held down and multiple clicks. Click, 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 click. Sorry, it should have been 4. I'll do that again. Click, 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 click. 4. Click again to deselect. Okay, that's all I wanted to do just now. That's 7 minutes. That's quite enough. Bye.